The crash came like a thief in the night, stealing my sight and hearing in one merciless twist of metal and fate. I woke in a world of shadows and silence, my fingers the only bridge to what remained, tracing the cold rails of hospital beds while voices blurred into vibrations I could no longer decipher. But there, in that void, Jordan's hand found mine steady, warm, a lifeline etched with the promise that love could outlast the wreckage. In the years since, San Francisco had become our canvas, a city of fog-shrouded hills and hidden alleys where the salt air carried whispers of possibility. I, Alex Harper, sculpted not with eyes or ears, but with the raw pulse of touch, the cool curve of clay under my palms, the give of stone that yielded secrets only my fingers could coax out. My studio in the Castro district hummed with the ghosts of creation, half-formed figures frozen in ecstasy or agony, their surfaces etched with the braille of my soul. Jordan, my husband of 7 years, was the curator of it all, the one who translated my world into words for galleries that clamored for my miracle art. He was my interpreter, my guide, the man whose footsteps I learned to follow like a heartbeat in the dark. That morning, as the first light filtered through the bay windows I couldn't see, I felt the familiar rhythm of his approach, the soft thud of his loafers on the hardwood, the faint rustle of his shirt as he leaned in. His cologne, a mix of sandalwood and sea salt, wrapped around me like an embrace. "Good morning, love," he signed against my palm, his fingers spelling out the words with the precision of a poet. I smiled, pulling him closer, my lips brushing the stubble on his jaw. Gratitude swelled in my chest, as it always did. How many men would anchor a storm like me? Jordan had quit his adjunct teaching gig at the community college to manage my exhibits, turning our loft into a haven where I could chase visions through touch alone. He described the colors he chose for my shows, the crowds that wept at my pieces, tales of lovers parted by invisible walls. Much like us. We moved through breakfast like a well-rehearsed dance, his hand guiding mine to the rim of my coffee mug, the steam rising to warm my face. I savored the bitterness, letting it ground me in the now. Big day, he vibrated through my shoulder, his touch conveying excitement. The opening at the DeYoung Museum tonight, my first solo show in 3 years. Your Echoes series will break hearts. I nodded, my free hand sketching idle patterns on the tablecloth, imagining the sculptures, twisted forms of intertwined bodies, one reaching blindly for the other, their union defying the silence between. As he helped me into my smock, the linen cool against my skin, a flicker of something unsettled me. His fingers lingered a beat too long on my collarbone, tracing the scar from the accident, a jagged line that snaked from my shoulder to my chest. It was nothing new. He often touched it like a talisman. But today, his breath hitched, a subtle tremor I felt more than heard. I turned, cupping his face. "You okay?" I signed, my thumbs brushing his cheekbones. He pressed his forehead to mine, a silent yes. Lies? I thought fleetingly, but shove it down. Jordan was my sun in eclipse. Doubting him was like questioning gravity. The studio awaited, a sanctuary of textures, the gritty sandpaper of unfinished marble, the silken slide of wet clay. I lost myself there. Jordan at my side, his voice a phantom I imagined in the cadence of his taps on my arm. He described the room's chaos, the dust motes dancing in sunlight, the rainbow of pigments staining the sink, while I molded a new piece. Fingers delving into the earth like lovers reuniting. This one was for him, two figures locked in defiance, one shielding the other from an unseen storm. "It's us," he said later, on his grip. "Eternal." By afternoon, the air thickened with anticipation. Jordan bundled me into a cab, his arm a steady anchor against the lurch of turns. The city unfolded in sensations, the hum of traffic vibrating through the seat, the briny tang of the bay seeping through cracked windows. San Francisco, with its rainbow flags fluttering like defiant banners and its hidden corners where outcasts found home. This was our queer utopia, hard-won and fiercely guarded. The day met here, at a Pride after-party in the Mission, my hands fumbling for connection amid the bass I could once feel in my bones. He was the tall stranger who knelt to sign, his eyes crinkling with a kindness that pierced my isolation. "I'm Jordan," he'd spelled, and in that moment, the world cracked open. The gallery buzzed when we arrived, or so he conveyed, the murmur of heels on polished floors, the clink of champagne flutes. He led me through the throng, his body a shield against accidental brushes. "They're stunned. Alex." Whispers in the dark, it's selling out. Pride bloomed in me, warm as summer fog. My art wasn't just survival, it was rebellion, proof that love and loss could birth beauty from ruin. Jordan's hand squeezed mine, grounding the high. "You did this." We did. As the night wore on, he navigated conversations. His signs fluid against my skin. The collector from L.A. adores the central piece, says it captures the ache of unspoken vows. I laughed silently, imagining the room alive with my ghosts. But midway through, his rhythm faltered. A pause, longer than usual, before he resumed. I tilted my head, seeking his warmth. It was there, but distant, like fog retreating for shore. "Go mingle," I urged, pushing him gently. He hesitated, then melted into the crowd. Alone, I stood by my favorite sculpture, fractured light, fingers trailing its ridges. A man, eyes bandaged, reaching for a shadow lover whose form dissolved into shards. It was our story, or so I told myself. A server bumped my elbow, spilling wine that soaked my sleeve, the sticky warmth a rude awakening. Jordan was back in seconds, dabbing at it with a napkin, apologies vibrating through his frantic touch. "I'm fine," I signed, but his energy crackled with something unspoken. Guilt? Fear? I chalked it up to the night's pressure, pulling him into a shadowed alcove for a stolen kiss. His lips were salt and desperation, tasting of secrets he wouldn't share. We slipped away early, the cab ride home a cocoon of quiet intimacy. Back in the loft, overlooking the twinkling grid of the city I couldn't see, he undressed me slowly, his hands mapping every curve as if memorizing for a journey ahead. "I love you," he breathed against my neck, the words signed in the dip of my collarbone. I believed him, utterly, as our bodies intertwined, slow, fervent, a dialogue of skin and sigh. In that union, the world narrowed to us, two souls defying the dark, bound by a love that had weathered crashes and silences alike. But as sleep claimed me, cradled in his arms, a whisper of doubt lingered. His heartbeat, once a steady drum, stuttered like a skipped record. What if gratitude was a veil, and beneath it lay the truth I'd always feared, that I was the burden he carried, not the light he chased. The next days blurred into a haze of acclaim. Reviews poured in, Jordan reading them aloud in his animated signs. Harper's work is a testament to resilience. A queer him to touch in a world of noise. Galleries clamored for commissions. And suddenly, our life felt gilded. Dinners at hidden speakeasies in the Haight. Where the air thrummed with jazz, I felt in the floorboards. Lazy Sundays in Golden Gate Park. His fingers spelling poetry into my palm as picnickers laughed nearby. San Francisco embraced us. Its pulse a queer symphony of acceptance. From the leather-clad revelers in Soma to the quiet couples holding hands on Polk Street. Yet, cracks spiderwebbed through the bliss. Jordan's touches grew tentative, as if afraid I'd shatter. One evening, as we prepared for a panel at the SFMOMA, me in a crisp button-down he'd chosen, him in his signature vest that hugged his lean frame, he fumbled the signs for nervous. I caught his wrist, feeling the rapid flutter beneath. "Talk to me," I demanded, my free hand framing his face. He leaned in, forehead to mine, but his response was a deflection, a kiss that tasted of evasion. "Just the spotlight. You're the star." The panel was a triumph. Or so he relayed, the audience riveted by tales of my process. How I saw through fingertips schooled in loss. But afterward, in the green room, his vibration shifted. A colleague, Marcus from the Arts Council, clapped my shoulder too heartily, his grip lingering. Jordan tensed beside me, pulling me away with a possessiveness I'd never felt. "He's harmless," I signed later, but Jordan's jaw clenched under my touch. Jealousy? It didn't fit. Our love was bedrock, unshakable. That night, doubt festered. Alone in the studio while he ran errands, I paced the familiar terrain, hands skimming shelves of tools, chisels worn smooth, molds cradling unborn dreams. My fingers brushed a sketch pad. One Jordan used to jot notes for me, rough outlines of my sculptures, annotated with colors and placements. But flipping through, flipping? I didn't see pages, but the stack fell off, thicker, with edges that whispered of haste. I traced the top sheet, not my forms, but hurried scrawls, numbers, dates. A calendar? No receipts. Taped in, for hotels in Oakland, dinners I hadn't shared. My stomach nodded. Paranoia, I told myself. Jordan was faithful, our bond forged in fire. When he returned, reeking of rain and regret, I confronted the air between us. "What's wrong?" I signed bluntly, hands slicing the space. He froze, then enveloped me in a hug that crushed the questions. "Nothing, Alex. Just loving you is everything." We made love then, urgent and raw, his body confessing what words withheld. But in the afterglow, as his breathing evened, I lay awake, the city's distant hum a mocking echo. Gratitude curdled into suspicion. What secret could eclipse the man who'd given me wings and chains? Weeks passed in this fragile dance. My next piece consumed me. A massive installation for a queer arts festival in the Tenderloin. Veiled promises, interlocking arches of bronze that symbolized hidden truths in relationships. Jordan assisted, his hands guiding the molds. But his energy waned. He'd vanish for hours, returning with excuses that vibrated false. Meetings, supply runs. One afternoon, frustration boiled over. "You're drifting," I signed, my fingers sharp as blades. He knelt before me, head in my lap, a sob I felt in his shoulders. I'm scared of losing this, us. But he wouldn't elaborate, sealing the breach with tears and tenderness. The festival opening loomed, a beacon in our storm. San Francisco's underbelly came alive that night, drag queens in glittering heels strutting past murals of defiant icons. The air thick with incense and rebellion. Jordan dressed me in velvet, his touches reverent, then led me through the crowd. The installation drew gasps, or so he said, the arches glowing under lights, casting shadows that danced like unspoken fears. Patrons touched the surfaces tentatively, mirroring my own reach into the unknown. But midway, chaos erupted. A drunk reveler stumbled into the piece, toppling a section with a crash that reverberated through my bones. Jordan lunged, steadying it, but not before shards bit his palm. Blood slicked his skin, warm against mine as I clutched him. I'm okay, he signed one-handed, but pain laced his grip. In a frenzy of cleanup, his phone buzzed in his pocket, an insistent vibration I snatched before he could. The screen, unlocked, hummed under my thumb, messages from an unknown number. Tell him tonight. He deserves the truth. Or I will. My world tilted. Who? What truth? Jordan wrested it back, his face a mask of horror. It's nothing, work. Lies. Thick as fog. We fled the scene. The cab ride a chasm of silence. Home. I paced, demanding answers through furious signs. He crumbled then, sinking to the floor, pulling me down with him. Alex. The accident. It was my fault. The words hit like aftershocks, his fingers trembling as they spelled the confession I'd never imagined. 7 years ago, on that rain-slicked road out of the city, we'd argued, fiercely, stupidly, over his hesitation to come out fully to his conservative family. I'd stormed ahead, but he followed, bottle in hand from the bar, the wheels slipping in his drunken haze. I hit the guardrail. You flew. I lied to the cops, said it was black ice. To the doctors. To you. His touch broke, sobs racking him. I couldn't lose you. So I hid it, built this life on the wreckage. Every sail, every touch, guilt. But love, too. God, the love, rage and sorrow warred in me. A tempest without sound. I'd trusted him with my voids, and he'd filled them with deceit. Why now? I signed, voice raw in my throat, though he couldn't hear. He traced my scars, the ones he'd kissed 1,000 times. That message, my brother. He found out, threatened to tell. I couldn't let poison taint us, his family, ever the specter, their rejection a blade he'd dodged by burying the truth. We sat there, entangled in ruin, the city lights mocking our fracture. Forgiveness didn't come easy. It clawed its way through betrayal's thorns. But in his brokenness, I saw the man who'd chosen me daily, guiding my hands through clay, defending my art against doubters, loving me when I was least lovable. You stayed, I signed finally, my fingers soft on his tear-streaked face. In the lie, you chose truth to us. Dawn crept in, painting the loft in hues he described, rose and gold. A new beginning. We talked, no, signed through the night, excavating the debris. The accident wasn't just his fault. Our youth, our fire, had fueled it. San Francisco, with its history of reinvention, taught us that, from gold rush ghosts to Stonewall echoes, lives rebuilt from ash. Jordan confessed the guilt's toll, the vanishing acts. Therapy sessions he hid, fearing I'd see him as monster. But in unveiling, he freed us. My next sculpture emerged from that vigil, redeemed shadows, two figures emerging from twisted metal, hands clasped not in desperation, but strength. Jordan curated its debut, his voice steady as he signed the crowd's awe. We stood together, his arm around me, the city's heartbeat syncing with ours. Gratitude returned, deeper now, laced with hard-won wisdom. Love wasn't blind, it was brave, enduring secrets to forge something unbreakable. In the quiet aftermath, as fog blanketed the bay, I traced his wedding band, feeling its eternal groove. We'd survived the crash, the silence, the lie. And in that survival, we found grace, a queer testament that truth, however jagged, could heal.